might have just found my new favorite RV. For under 6,000 pounds and under 30 feet in true length, this is K-Z's 2024 Sportsman SE, the 251 RS. Now you might also see this listed as the 251 RS SE. What that means is that this floor plan is part of the Sportsman Select within the K-Z lineup. Now, real quick on the outside, one of my favorite parts is the 2024 models. If we just look from even the front all the way around the side, you're going to see that the Sportsman has gotten a really nice uplift versus previous years. From the fact that we've upgraded now to the fully glass doors, to the higher end decals, the glossier finish on the actual aluminum for the siding, the upgrade on the front cap. They've gone through a lot of different changes to give you such a nice upgraded experience on what most people would have thought of as an entry-level RV. But I'm telling you, this might be in the entry-level price point, but I don't think it's entry-level at all. It's got a lot of things that are going to separate it from those true entry-level points, most of which comes down to the quality of the construction and the true amenities and the features that K-Z wanted to throw in. After 52 years of being in the business, this is really a refined floor plan that I'm in love. So here, let's get into it, why I love this Sportsman 251 RS SE. Starting up at the front, you're going to notice when you go to a lot of what they call aluminum sided with wood framed RVs that you're not going to get a power tongue jack. K-Z went away and said, hey, look, we're not going to cheap here. Hooking up to your trailer, to your truck is going to be one of the most important things that you do every time you want to go camping. So you are going to get an electric tongue jack. You have two 20-pound propane tanks. And one thing that I hate that cheap brands do is they don't give you a battery disconnect, right? You put your RV in storage, you come back, and you almost need a new battery because it's killed. K-Z did not forget it. They got the battery disconnect. We will, as a dealer, install the battery once you make a purchase. Really cool thing just quickly to note on too is obviously the RVs come standard with like your AGM or a deep cycle, like a marine grade battery, right? But if you were to upgrade it and go to lithium, they actually already have it set up and ready to switch over. So if you do lithium, it costs less and it's simplified. Could do a whole different video on lithium versus marine grade and AGM batteries, but for today all I'm going to say is if you do want to upgrade it, it's preset and ready to go. That is a little feature that they do that the competitors usually don't, that brings them up into the nicer category. I mean, I hate calling this an entry-level RV. I mean, look at this pass-through, right? They fully finish it out, and it's an unobstructed. You'll hear me say this in multiple of our videos. McLean's, we refuse to carry the low-end manufacturers because an obstructed pass-through, what that means is when I throw my gear in and out of here, there could be something even into the structure that you could actually pull out or hit, right? There's nothing here. They've finished it out. Even your front cap's interior wall has been finished out. You've got tire pressure monitoring already prepped, you've got solar prepped, and you've got lighting. So if you are pulling up to the campsite at night, you have that, and you've got a nice thick door, okay? So also, I don't know if you noticed when I had that up there, right? You're not having that cheap little latch. It's storm magnets. They're going to hold themselves better, and you don't have to worry about like, hey, if I yank this down on the old ones that are cheaper, or on the lower end brands, they'll have like a little hook latch. Well, if you pull that and the hook latch is still there, you broke your latch, and now your door's not going to stay up until you bring it into the dealership. So those storm magnets, really nice improvement, especially if this is your first RV. If you don't have to think about it, you don't have to break it, and you can't. So that's an awesome little, just those tiny touches that I really love. Now, one thing you're going to know, on this model, we have two doors. So you have an entry to the bedroom, you have an entry to the living room. I've talked about this in another model before, but I really love two-door entries because you have so many benefits. The first one I want to talk about comes to you from the stairs. Now, all Sportsman SEs are going to have at least one staircase that's got the new solid steps, right? People love them for the stability, love them for the ability to get in and out if you have a little bit less of that kind of worry about a wobbly staircase. But on the bedroom, now if you wanted, sure, we could put solid steps on here. I've told you before, McLean's is full in the parts, service, finance, sales. We even have a campsite. I'm telling you, we're ready for you if you wanted to upgrade these, but I wouldn't recommend it. What I love is by having both of these, if your RV's ever in storage, these stairs are the roll-ups, right? So you can actually leave them up, and now if you need to get into your RV during storage, you got to pack appropriately, but you could just hop into here if you're at a tighter space and you don't have to worry about bringing those stairs down or up and having extra room, right? It is a totally awesome benefit of this RV, okay? I'll leave the stairs up because we're going to go in the other way, but I do want to also touch, K-Z was nice. On both doors, you're going to get that screen defender where, so this is going to stop you from having to worry about like kids, dogs, bugs, scratching it, or worrying about your screen door getting affected over time, and you still have that awesome ability to get all the breeze, all the air, none of the bugs, right? Love screen doors. We're all a big fan, and everyone loves these new glass doors, and I love that they still give you a window up at the top part inside the insulation so you can see in and out. But you can see right now with it closed, man, that is well tinted. They actually tint all their windows so to give you kind of a little bit more of privacy and a better quality of life, because on those sunny days that tint's really going to help to keep you temperature controlled. You do still get a massive, and I mean massive, compared to the size of this RV, this awning, right? So you're in a 25-foot box and you're in like almost a 22-foot awning in total length. It's fantastic. It's going to come out perfect for, you know, if it's like a sunny day, you want to get it a little bit of rain. Obviously, keep it closed in the super wind because it's a giant feature. You do have the porch light. You still get your outdoor and indoor speakers, right? Your outdoor speakers are marine grade, so even if it rains a little bit, you can still be blasting the music if you want to be outside. If you're a wild child and like to be in the rain, you can do that, right? I do want to feature, obviously, you do have power ports for if you have a TV with cable access, you can pull that out, go to your TV. I never really recommend screwing anything into your walls, but you can put it on a table and you're good to go. It is a dual axle, even though it's a lightweight RV, right? It's under 6,000 pounds dry. In fact, K-Z makes life easy. They put it right on the door. This one weighs 5,740 pounds as it sits on our lot today. I would say the hitch weight being 820, I highly recommend if you're pulling this, whether it's a half ton, 3/4 ton, obviously in the weight wise, it's half ton towable, but for hitch weight, really do recommend that you get sway bars, right? That's just going to make you a little bit more safe when you're driving down the road, and they come with weight distribution, which will distribute the weight better between your front axle of the RV and the rear axle of your tow vehicle. At the end of the day, folks, I shouldn't even have to convince you, be safer, get sway bars, but it's pretty low hitch weight in the grand scheme of things. But if you do have that half ton, I really recommend sway bars for protection. Now, like I said, all of the Sportsmens are coming standard with at least one of these on the SE level, right? Giving you those solid steps. They're adjustable, so whether you're camping at somewhere that's level or not, you can make these steps work for you. Again, I told you have that power tongue jack. You do have these scissor stabilizers that are good to do for the rest of your 4 stabilizing points. Now, one thing to note, some people prefer the electrics. You could upgrade, but the reason that K-Z decided against it on this model, right? They wanted to give you, even though I wouldn't really say that this is truly an entry-level RV, I would say that they are trying to keep it in the entry-level price point. Now, quick way to get around that, and they might yell at me for saying this, so off the record, this is Bear's opinion, not McLean's, not K-Z. If you do want, a lot of people use a power drill to move those up and down. Again, I can't say as far as a person who would recommend that you use that, but I'm just saying, if you chose to, it works really well. Okay, you get a leash latch, which I love, so if you do have dogs, furry friends, you can latch them onto here. But the even cooler thing is this part right here. It's hard to tell because it looks like a paw print, but that's a bottle opener. So if you want to open a bottle while you're out in the campsite, you don't need to bring a bottle opener. Or if you're the crazy uncle who forgets the bottle openers and is trying to show it off with his teeth, you can save his teeth. He doesn't need to go to the dentist. He can open his beers, or he can open any drink right there, okay? They give you a nicer, tougher handrail than like some of those ones where on the low levels they might not have one at all, or it might just be literally just right here. And then the cool thing is your backups, right? So you're prepped already for a backup camera, and you also have a spare tire that's going to come standard. Really cool thing. Now you see they don't put the ladder on here, right? So if you do want to get up to the roof, it's better to bring like an A-frame or something. But unlike a lot of those entry-level manufacturers who might have a cheaper product, K-Z's roof is a fully walkable roof, even though it's on the aluminum sided and wood framed RV. It's PVC, it's full on one piece roof where it's straight up, you can walk the whole thing. Whether that's for maintenance or whether you just happen to be crazy enough to want to sit up there for the 4th of July, I don't recommend that, but I've seen people do it. It is awesome. It's a fully walkable roof. Okay, you've got your single slide on this one. We're going to go up to the front though, because right here, another feature, again, every K-Z SE is going to come with an outdoor shower. I don't have my key on me right now, but if we open this up, you'll see it's not one of those rinky-dink hoses with just like a spray hose where you can spray your kids off. It's an actual shower head. It's actually temperature controlled. You'll have your hot and you'll have your cold. Huge thing. I was going to mention this later, but we're already here. It doesn't look like much, but this is a 50 amp camper, okay? So one thing to talk about, when you're getting your first RV, there's two types of campsites, right? 30 amp or 50 amp campsites. 50 amps allows you to have 2 ACs. We're in the state of Texas down here. Now you could buy this from me and live anywhere, but in the state of Texas or in those hotter states, this RV has 2 ACs. It's under 30 feet. That's unheard of. We'll touch on it more inside, but man, that alone is a reason why I would buy this over maybe a cheaper or maybe even at the same price another RV that doesn't have this. If you're in Texas, if you want extended camping or if you want summer camping, 2 ACs in a sub 30 foot RV, by the way, they're fully ducted, right? It's no little turn a knob. These are true fully ducted nice ACs. You can't beat that. Now, if you do say, oh, well, you know, I was looking for something because under 30 foot spots, a lot of times are 30 amp. That's okay too. If you actually take a power cord, you can pare this down to 30 amp camping as well, and you have the ability to use just one of the ACs. You only need the 50 amp when you want to run both and when it's hot enough. So the cool thing is they actually give you the ability, since this is a small RV, if you pare it down to a 30 amp, you can save money on campsites, save money on your trips, but you still have that accessible to you without spending a dime more anytime you want. If you go to a 50 amp camper site, you're good to go. You don't have to pay for a new AC. You don't have to get extra fans. If grandma's sleeping in the room and she gets hot easily, you can cool her down. I don't like to be cold. I'm wearing a vest right now and it's in the 70s. But when I sleep, I do like it to be cooler for me sleeping, and you can really cool this RV down for, again, a small RV under 6,000 pounds. That is unheard of. Now, black tank flush, God's greatest invention to the RV world, right? So we don't like to talk about it too much, but obviously, yes, you have your fresh tank that you can fill. You have city water that you could use at your campsites, but when you are actually filling your tanks, you have black tanks and gray tanks. Black tank is toilet, gray tanks are everything else. Both are going to dump from this same spot down here, and I do like that they're fully enclosable valves, but one thing to note is sometimes when you go to dump a black tank, if you go to your cheaper, lower end RVs, they won't have a black tank flush. Folks, we don't like to talk about it too much, but solids don't always move on their own, right? A tank is shaped like this, and the hole might only be this big. If the solid is over here, even if it's graded, that might not move on its own. So what the black tank flush is for is you can attach a hose, and that's going to spray water directly into the tank to allow the solids to move out. In English, at the end of the day, having this means if you don't want to smell the things that we don't want to talk about, you have the ability to clean things out further. That is a great advantage, and it's not in everything at this price point. Again, entry-level price point-wise, not an entry-level RV. I really think it's better, and it's a higher end for you. Now, that's pretty much everything on the outside except your city and freshwater connections, and you do have the ability to add cable. You can see, again, your unobstructed pass-through, but really, folks, at this point, I can't wait. Let's head inside. Okay, so coming inside the RV, there's two more things I did want to talk about that are awesome about this door. So again, being in the lower price range, they didn't want to make their RV cheap. K-Z stands for the quality, and they stand behind it, right? With 52 years of experience, there's some things they learned. One thing I really like for people, like I said, you got your dog lash leech and you have these solid steps. Well, most of the time, dogs, kids, those in the elderly community, they might not move as fast. And one thing that I hate is if you have a cheap door on a windy day, this thing could slam closed on you. Well, it's hard to show in the video, so I really do recommend come out, see me at the store. But these doors are actually on what they call friction hinges. So what that means is you actually really do have to pull it. And if it's windy, for the most part, unless it's like storm weather it's not going to slam the door closed on you. It's going to give that friction. Now, to speak on the same side, right? Everyone around here, we've all talked about the awesome advantage of having a screen door, but I don't know about y'all. I'll admit it. I don't like bugs. I'm scared of spiders. I think my fiance is great. She loves me. She's the bug killer in our house. If you like bugs, I'm sorry for saying that. But this is cool. They put this, I don't even remember the name on it. I'm sorry. KZ, don't be mad at me. But this little piece right here doesn't look like much, but what that does is you see how the door's already going. Once it gets to about here, this is going to allow the bug door screen to close itself. I don't have to do anything. And now, so say you see some bugs out there, maybe you saw a spider, you don't want the creepy crawlies to come in. Once you get it to about here, it'll take itself the rest of the way. And I love that because it keeps your door from having to be something you worry about. Now, I will say on windier days, it's not going to be as great for you. Obviously, it's made for normal weather, but I like that as just one more feature to kind of keep the bugs out, the people in. I still get my airflow, but I don't have to be scared. I'll admit it, I'm a wimp. Call me names, it's okay. But come on in. Okay, you got to see this. So, right, keep in mind, this is a 25-foot box. You're like 29 inches in true total length. Look at all this space, okay? You have a massive kitchen, and I love, like, so a big complaint, right, in smaller RVs is not having enough windows or not having enough kitchen. In this, you are covered in windows and you're covered in kitchen. We'll talk about the kitchen first, though, right? From the fact that they give you a deep sink, stainless steel sink, I love that. And, you know, some people are like, oh, well, the sink's great, but look, now you have all of this as extra counter space. So whether it's from cleaning dishes, or if you're like me and use your paper plates and you just want more counter space, you have it. You have, again, my favorite thing KZ's so good about doing is giving you a cabinet big enough to hide a trash can, right? If it's something a dog will eat or it's something that bugs will get to, let's put it away, hide it. You can hide it in there. If you do have it outside, again, that's just more storage for you. You've got plenty of little drawers, cabinetry. You've got overhead cabinets. You still get your 3-burner with that built-in backsplash and a true gas oven. Now keep in mind, when you have gas ovens on some of your lower brands, one thing that I hate that some manufacturers don't do is they don't give you a vent, right? So this is a built-in vent fan. It's going to actually duct it outside so it doesn't keep the smells inside, and that's right above your cook surface. Now, pro tip, I like to use the rear burners because they're closer to the vent fan. That's just a little thing for me. Take it for what you want. You don't have to listen, but that's personal preference. Better for the ventilation, right? Now, you still get a microwave because you have a gas oven. Regular microwave here. You got more overhead storage. You do have some extra lights under here too. It's nice. You can really brighten this up. And I like they made their outlets are actually on the wall, so they're easier to see than like when you go to some of those that put them up in the ceiling. I know that some people like that for aesthetics, but I like knowing where my outlets are at any given time. So if I just quickly want to make a coffee, I know I can plug it in or I can put it over there. Really neat way of doing this, right? So they extended your countertop to go down here. I like this. This is a good place to throw like your board games, your other stuff. Now you can put them in totes or you can put them in storage. But I like the extra counter space. This is also good. I know, like, I don't know, maybe some of you do this too, but if you ever go like on a camping trip during the holidays, this is a really good prep station to get the kids involved. I don't personally have kids, but I have nieces, and like they're shorter people obviously, and they like to get involved with like the baking and the goods. This is like the bring the kids involved into the kitchen countertop. It's their height, it's perfect, and if it's too tall for you, all you need is a chair, and boom, you're right there back in it with the kids. Now, speaking of this area, we're going to highlight a little bit lower. Right here, we've got the sound bar. So I showed you outside, you do have those external speakers. The sound bar is going to work for your internal. Now, cool thing, on the KZ level, this sound bar is fantastic because you have every type of access except for like a CD player, right? So you've got HDMI, USB, aux cord, and Bluetooth. This will also access to the radio. So whatever way you want to make sound, you're good to go. If you want to throw a DVD player for the TV, you can do that too. We still have the fireplace, right? The SEs are incredible. Now you get, again, I've talked about this fireplace in a few other videos, so we'll just quickly highlight. You have the ability to turn it on where it's just pretty lights, or you have the ability to do heat. When you do the heat, it is an electric heater, so again, that is a way to heat this whole space up. It's only really going to fill this space, but one that's not quite hot enough, or I'm sorry, not quite cold enough to run your furnace, you have the ability to get extra heat here, but no one will ever complain about the fact that that's just pretty, right? Again, other things that set this kind of apart from some of what I would really consider a true entry level is K-Z at the SE level has decided to start including the TV. Now, one thing I would say is, I'm not a big TV watcher, but if you are, you could get a bigger one in here. So if that's something that you want to look into, just talk with me, come into the dealership, we can put bigger ones. I had one customer, he doesn't have kids who want to cook, so he just put a giant TV and it sits right here, he plugged it in there, boom, he's good to go. So if you do want to upgrade that, you can. The TV is also on a swivel mount, so whether you're sitting in the dinette or in your jackknife sofa, you do have the ability to put the TV where people are facing. I really like the dinette. We're going to talk about that in a second. But first, let's go back over to this side. And I want to show you this jackknife. So jackknife sofas are something that's standard in the K-Z SE level. I like that on this you do get the cup holders. So for me, I'm super friendly and I'm, you know, maybe even one of the more cuddly people. But if you want that space between you and your neighbor, maybe they smell funny that day, you have the ability to put your cup holders between you. I always love having a drink. Now, if the cup holder's not big enough, you also get, I love these little side cabinets that they put on both sides, and each have, again, clear and transparent charging. Also, folks, don't forget, look at where I'm sitting. Look how big this window is, right? So expansive windows on all all three sides in this room, giving you a ton of extra space, okay? Now, this is a jackknife, so for folks who aren't familiar with a jackknife sofa, I'll show you how that works. But one thing that K-Z does that's really cool is, so if I just lift this slightly, if you want a ton of extra storage, look at that. It's so rare to see. They got real smart. This is on magnets and hinges, so it's super easy, super simple to use, but all that extra storage, I mean, whether it's bedding for visitors, pots and pans, things that are larger, or just multiple weather, climate depending items, for that long-term storage, you have all the space. Now, while I have this up here, you'll see it only takes one hand to put it down. That's what a jackknife sofa looks like, and when it's done properly, it should look just like this. Now, I will say, I think that this sofa is super comfortable. K-Z has upgraded kind of on what level of quality their upholstery is going to be. I wouldn't quite call it leather, but it's a leather-like material, and it's kind of scratch resistant. You can see I don't really have that big of nails, but they do that for, you know, your smaller dogs and stuff. Obviously, if they're determined enough, you can cut anything, right? So don't press it, but it is a nicer material for the upholstery. Talking about the floor, you're going to see, so you do have AC vents in the ceiling. Again, it's fully ducted, and we've talked about this in K-Z products before, but I'm just going to highlight, K-Z does use RV airflow. It is a licensed product that goes in the ductwork and makes it 40% more efficient, right? So not only do you have two ACs in this, which blast the competition in a sub 30-foot RV, but that ductwork, having the RV airflow, makes it 40% more efficient. Again, folks, that's colder and that's cold faster than the exact same AC unit if it didn't have that in there. Adding the fact that it's fully ducted and that you have true filters in here that you can swap out to make it as high-end as you want, or if it just gets dirty and you want to swap it out, it's easier to change this air filter than it is at the one I have at home. That is a huge feature, and on your other RVs, you really don't see that, right? They don't give you filters that are easy to change out. They give you kind of like a mesh screen that really just fills with dust, and maybe you can rinse it or wash it, but it never quite goes back up the same. This is easy. You take it off, it's just the box you pull out, you can see the measurements are on it, you can put a new one in. Easy, clearer, and again, better for your health, right? I have had health issues myself. I'm only 31, but man, the doctors love me. So if you want to take care of your health, you can put as nice of a filter in there and really take care of your family, right? Speaking of family, I am the shortest person in my mom's side of the family lineup, right? At 5'10", I'm like an average American, but I've got cousins almost 7 feet tall. This dinette is huge, right? So the cool thing on this is that, one, yes, you do have the storage underneath all three sides of this dinette. This is all accessible storage all the way around, but the coolest thing is, I'm not a big like table person, right? So I'd never use this table. You can just pull this thing out, take it off its legs, And now you have a couple options, right? So you can turn this table into a bed by just sliding it on to the pre-built-in rails that K-Z gives you, and then you could cover it with the cushions to make this into a bed, right? You can kind of get the idea from here. But what I would do, right? And again, everyone camps their own way, so this is just to show you what you could do, not telling you have to, is I'd take these poles and I'd either store them under the sofa, or I'd just take this whole thing out, maybe bring a folding table for when I really need it. But I like this as like a large U-shaped dinette as a lounger, right? So like you can just prop your feet up. In fact, I've had one customer before, they completely removed these. We filled the space and they actually just put an ottoman in here, which we could do that for you too. You have an ottoman, and then you basically have this giant day bed. You can watch your TV from here, and then if you do have a visitor, again, who's sleeping, if you're 7 foot tall, I'll show you without even having to make the whole bed. You can see, right? At 5'10", I'm nowhere near the top of this, and these cushions are still removable, right? So on both sides, I could get more space. You could be 7 foot tall, and you could still sleep on here. You might have to sleep sideways, but I'm talking if you have a big visitor, or if you just have big family, or if you just have a lot of people that you want to sit down in here, K-Z has given you one of the biggest dinettes in the industry. It's an awesome benefit. I don't think enough people talk about it, but I really like the space that you get in this. Okay, we're going to talk about one last thing in the kitchen living room area before we go to the bathroom and bedroom: the fridge. So on K-Z, right, and again with McLean's, most of our manufacturers have moved to the 12-volt fridge. The Sportsman SE is no stranger to doing that, but there's something about this one that honestly I don't think you're really going to see it in the video as well as you would if you're in person. This is a 10 cubic foot fridge, right? What you'll see going into competitors, the front fascia of this, right? It's going to look the same, so it's deceiving. Ask your salesperson. And if your salesperson doesn't know, get another salesperson. Call me if you need to. This is a 10 cubic foot fridge, which means that if you go into some of the competitors, they're only 8. Now that might not sound like much if it truly is just a weekend. Maybe you could get by. But this gives you that extended amount of storage, which I think is just kind of a step above the rest, right? It's 12-volt technology, so again, if the battery's on, it's cold. You can keep it cold with you driving down the road. There's no propane or anything to worry about. As long as your batteries are turned on, it's cold, and you have that battery disconnect, so you just turn it on outside. Boom, your fridge works. This is fantastic. And you can see, one thing I'll tell you, so if you're ever going in one of these fridges, there's usually a sticker over here somewhere that's going to tell you information about it, and you can see on here it says 10 cubic foot, right? So if you have a salesperson who doesn't know, look for the sticker, don't believe them, and find out, hey, am I in one that has that much storage, or is it a deceivingly close one, right? I'm telling you, go look at the cheaper brands. You're not going to get that fridge, okay? RV airflow, we've talked about it. You do have a thermostat for each of your air conditioning units, and is the new Coleman Mach thermostat. They're way cooler, touchscreen, you kind of just swivel through the buttons. It is so simple to use, really friendly. I like it a lot. But next thing I like a lot of things in this RV, is going to be the bathroom, right? So, we've seen floor plans like this before. This is what I call the middle bathroom. We talked about how there's 2 doors entry, so I like this because if you have visitors, right, if you're being friendly but you're not that friendly, you have the ability to close off your bedroom. There's no reason for anyone to go in there but you also have the benefit now of having a larger bathroom. It's hard to get bigger than this outside of maybe a rear bath model, but the problem with rear bath models, and the reason I like this more, is rear bath models take away your rear window. You lose that view, right? In this model, you don't lose the view. They've tucked the toilet into the corner so you don't actually see it when you're looking in from either the bathroom or the bedroom. And again, it gives you the ability to access this even when the slide's closed, where you're kind of standing from your perspective, that slide would push and kind of block the kitchen to bathroom door when you're traveling, but you can access it from the bedroom. So when you're coming down the road, you still have access to bed, you still have access to the kitchen, you still have access to the bathroom. Just choose the right door, right? But when you're in the bathroom, you see how spacious it is. Again, we do our normal size reference. Now, this might be my only kind of caveat of complaint, right? Is that when we're standing in this, yes, if you are over 6 foot tall, you do not fit in this shower. So here's my 2 ways to get around that, right? So the first thing is, obviously, in most of our entry or price points, you don't get the extra skylight. What KZ found was, in the brands that have the skylight at this price point, you need to be careful. Some of those cheaper skylights actually would break, and that's the whole reason why they don't put it here, right? So they give you a lifetime warranty roof coverage. They've learned that the skylights that the cheaper brands put in, there are nicer skylights, they're not all built the same, again, call me, we could talk about it, would actually crack over time and have water leakage into here. So they went away with it. Now, that does mean if you're taller, right, you're going to have to duck in here, but again, it's just for showering. And if you don't want to duck, wait, what did we think about? We talked about this outside. You do have an outdoor shower, okay? Yes, that's outside, but if you like the nature, or if you have the ability to do it, you're good to go. And what we've also talked about is most campsites nowadays, right? You have a nice RV you can take to a nice campsite. Most campsite facilities will have taller showers anyways. It doesn't become a problem, and you get more space. I really like the amount of room that you have in here, and I really like that if you are under 6 foot tall, this is fantastic. If you're over 6 foot tall, it still works, but I mean, it's solid, right? Do that in some of our cheaper competitors, and you're going to notice you might go through the floor. This might shake the whole RV, but it ain't going to break the floor. The construction on here is fantastic, and you've really got a nice shower for those who use it. Flipping to the other side, you are going to see that we do have still a decent amount of storage. It does come with the plastic sink. Again, that's part of the cost savings to you. If you do want to upgrade that, we can. But honestly, I love the space, right? It's a deep sink, even in a small RV. You got extra storage, both from cabinetry style, so you can close off things you don't want to see, and you have open storage for easily accessible when you're down the road. They do give you a normal plug there. And then let's go in, and I want to show you this bedroom. Okay, so queen size bed, really nice. You do again have the second air conditioner. I can't say that enough, folks. Literally, look at other 30-foot and undersized RVs, and very rarely do you see 2 ACs. That is huge. It's fantastic, and I really want to say, like, thank you to KZ for doing that, because it really sets this floor plan apart. Now, at your queen size bed, you do still have charging stations on both sides. Now, on the left side in our video, you're going to see that's a normal 110 plug. That right plug, a lot of people are like, why is it blue? That is a cool little USB port. It's great for your phones. One thing I will say, so some people are like, hey, but I have a CPAP, or I have larger appliances. Well, if you look at the way the bed's shaped, you actually do still have side storage spaces to lay things down. There's different size CPAP machines. We can kind of work with you on solutions for that, because you should still be able to use it. Both sides you got closet hanging, and you do have that lift storage that I love up above. Great for tons of things in here. On our left hand side by the roof, you're going to see that it is backed and prepped for another TV. Again, I'm not big on them, but if you want, McLean's can add it. Bring your TV, we'll throw it in there for you. You got the thermostat on the AC, and you do have under this bed a little extra storage. Now, one thing you'll see is kind of that wall stops where the storage is on the internal side. Reason for that is the rest of it is your exterior storage. You really can't beat this, but the only other thing to talk about, yes, you got your awning style window. We've talked about that. I love it because you can have it open even when it rains. But don't forget, you do have the entry door in here as well. So if you wake up and maybe the person sleeping next to you doesn't want to get up yet, you can kind of escape. You've got 2 doors between you and the living room. You can go out, you can have your coffee in the morning. Maybe if one person's working in there and the other person's sleeping, or if you're working in here and they're entertaining in there, you have a little bit of that sound dampening, a little bit more space. I mean, I don't know what else to say besides you need to call me. You need to find out what I'll sell this thing to you for, because we got MSRP, but McLean's has done the research, and we have fully transparent, actual market fair share pricing ready for you today. This is a 2024 K-Z Sportsman 251 RS, the SE. Give me a call, Bear from McLean's, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening for you. Thanks again for watching this video, and we'll see you soon.